and welcome to Rotted Review of the Day, and it is time for the second movie in my Christmas Eve double feature of Christmas horror movie reviews. This time it's the 1972 entry of Silent Night, Bloody Night. Now this movie has classic written all over it, but having watched it, I can honestly say, as much as I hate to say it, that I feel pretty blah about this film. I thought that it was just, I'm kind of coming from a place of overall mediocrity. I thought there was a lot about it that worked, but there was a lot about it that didn't, and ultimately I kind of wound up in a place of meh. So this movie has to do with a mansion that is being taken over by the by the builder's grandson after the builder had lived there or, spent time there on and off throughout his life, and then was basically found burned alive in it. And once he passed away, the title went to his grandson of Jeffrey, and Jeffrey is hiring a lawyer to go in and try to sell the property back to the town. It's kind of a mansion. It's an icon of the community, and if the town wants to be able to buy it, he wants to give them that opportunity. He just wants to sell it real quick. So here's kind of the deal. And this one night, everything starts going absolutely haywire as the town is trying to scrounge the money to buy it, and he is trying to work with his lawyer, and all sorts of secrets about his grandfather and the mansion and everything start getting revealed in the course of a person in the shadows killing folks at the same time. So I have to say, as a mystery, I thought this actually was pretty lackluster. And I always say that at the core of every horror movie, there is a mystery. At the very least, there's a good question. And in this case, the question is, who and why? We clearly know the what. People are getting hatcheted up and hacked up and so on and so forth in really great fashion, and I'll get to that in a second. But as far as the why goes, we don't know. And that's kind of the mystery as the secrets start getting revealed to us. But as a mystery, this really left a lot to be desired. There really wasn't a whole lot for the audience to try and work with and deduce ahead of time. We weren't really being given clues to find out the ultimate outcome. We weren't being given questions and then answers, but the answers led to more questions and so forth. It was basically just a big question of what's going on and who's doing it, and just weirdness, and then eventually just this massive outpouring of all the answers, all the history, all the secrets revealed through a course of a diary read flashback and a lot of exposition afterward. So there really wasn't a whole lot in terms of a satisfying mystery at the core of this one. So where does it succeed? Back to the hatcheting folks up situation, because as a horror movie where people do get hacked up, this actually worked pretty well. It has some great kills to it, some very, very brutal. The Foley in this one was amazing. But yeah, the kills, the hatcheting up, the special effects, the practical effects, and the sound work was all very on point. So on that level, it worked pretty well. And I will say that it seemed pretty brutal for a 1972 movie, but it really, it wasn't like that throughout the entirety of the movie. This wasn't a million-mile-per-hour gore fest. It's just that when people did die, it was spectacular. But throughout the rest, in between those moments, and there were plenty of in between those moments, it was just kind of a little bit boring, a little bit bland, a little bit blah. And overall, how I felt about this movie is going to be reflected in the score, which I'm going to go ahead and throw up right now. As always, 4 different categories, each one worth up to 25 points for a total possible score of 100 points. And I've never done this before. It's just kind of ultimately how I felt about it, just really analyzing each individual category is average across the board. 13, 13, 13, 13, and a total score of 52. It's not anything I did purposefully to kind of make a point or anything. Now, I don't know if I'm reviewing this movie through the lenses of somebody that has seen a lot of horror movies in a very short amount of time, as I have with this Advent calendar of Christmas horror films. I've been seeing some really bad movies like Elves, and I've been seeing some really good movies like Anne and the Apocalypse. But for the most part, I've been watching a lot of fairly mediocre, run-of-the-mill, average films, and maybe this is one that if I were to watch it after having stepped away from all horror movies, for a week or two, and I just approached it fresh, I might have a different opinion on this one. But as it stands, I just kind of couldn't get over the feeling that I was watching something that was good, not great, good, not bad. And I think, yeah, my honest scores reflect that, and that's ultimately kind of the place I came to. But as far as whether or not I would recommend this movie, okay, if you're trying to find a good Christmas horror movie, I would say run away from this one, because there's really not a whole lot of Christmassy elements to this. It kind of takes place during the holidays, and obviously the title lends itself to have a very Christmassy feel to it. But for the most part, I would not say that this is a Christmas horror movie. It's just a horror movie that happens to be set around Christmas time. If you're trying to watch a compelling, fully interesting, scary horror film, I would say this is probably also not your cup of tea. I think that it's a little bit, has way too many lulls, and it's just not as enthralling as that. It's not as entertaining as that. But if you are wanting to watch a classic film and kind of absorb some of that kind of classic feel and get some sense of history to horror films, I honestly think that this would actually be a good entry. This had some history behind it. Has John Carradine in it. You know, there's some elements of this that do work, and I think on that note, yes, I would recommend it, but I think only on that note would I recommend it. But that is my review of 1972's Silent Night, Bloody Night. I really thank you for joining me here today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, Christmas Day, for my 300th movie review. And if you like this video, please click like and subscribe. And if you want to support me further, my Patreon and my merchandise storefront links are below. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.